it's 32 miles, but it's not an easy 32 miles. Now I feel like I know my distances and I kind of know the pain that's gonna come with the distance. And you kind of just almost embrace it and like push through it on a good day. On a bad day, you just gotta like suck it up and get it done and tell yourself, it's only for today. Today is so short, it's almost over. And shut up and paddle. There's so many different bumps in a channel, and everyone kind of, you gotta all pick your own path.
Hawaii's kind of old school in a way, right? Where you let your actions do your talking for you. You can do it by surfing, or you can do it by paddling canoes. The Molokai to Oahu, crossing the Ki'iwi Channel, was established by a couple of crews, 6-man canoes, emulating what Hawaiian warriors would have done to get from one island to the other.
Well, the Molokai Channel, they still consider it the World Championship. It's not the biggest race in the world, but I think it's one of the toughest. You have the whole Pacific Ocean funneling in with the wind in between these two islands. So you have current and conditions, and you have tides sometimes going against you, waves behind you, stacking up 4 different directions. So they call it 40.8, but you're all over the ocean. So if you take a GPS on that, you got 45 miles probably.
That is where you test yourself. That is where your mettle is hardened, right? It's the Mount Everest of canoe racing, right? It's our Super Bowl. And so when you prove yourself there, you have proven yourself, period. And Lauren has proven herself so many times.
As a paddler, she's kind of a freak. And if there's surf, I mean, look out.
And she's won the Molokai 12 out of 13 times. I mean, that's just crazy.
She scares most of the guys on Maui.
The first time that she did the Molokai Channel, she beat that record by 15 minutes.
She's also a member of one of the most successful women's outrigger canoe teams ever. You have to put her in that elite of the most elite class of athletes, regardless of what the sport is.
I throw like the big trophies up above there just because I guess you need clutter above in your kitchen. Coming from Hawaii and growing up in our water, like, we're in the middle of the ocean, right? And we have some of the most crazy channels and like we're known for trade winds. You grow up learning to run with these waves. I guess we just don't feel special. We're just like, this is what we do and we're just regular.
It's hard to put into words the mentality that is set being the son or daughter of someone like Mike Spalding, right?
Growing up with Mike for a father, there were certain things you didn't have a choice in.
Starting, I think, from the age of 9, we would paddle from Maui and canoe sail around Lanai. And sometimes, you're blessed with wind, but when you're not blessed with wind, your only mode of getting there is paddling.
They go, oh yeah, you Spalding? Is Lauren your daughter? Yeah. The first time I remember her doing something radical was when she was 3. And I dragged her along on a trip to Lanai on a 3-man canoe. I should have never done this. I mean, I'm sure it was a told you so moment, but we got about a mile offshore and the winds came in, the north winds started blowing, and we swamped. And as you know, swamping a canoe isn't a great thing.
That was her introduction to what her life was going to be like.
And my job was to hold the paddles.
Yeah, to stop you from screaming. We had our lucky stars.
Oh yeah.
This was the first sort of water vessel that we started to play with, back in the 70s. This canoe's been a lot of places that it normally wouldn't go just because we pushed the envelope a little bit with it.
Mike Spalding he's essentially legendary.
I mean, the stuff that he does is crazy, you know? You'd have to be crazy to do it.
He's well known for swimming all the channels, right?
He has done every channel in the Hawaiian island chain.
I think all those channels he did in his 60s.
Everybody's got a story.
He's the only living human that has been bitten by the cookie cutter shark.
I don't know if you can see it, but cookie cutter shark got me there.
Just imagine a baseball chunk of meat taken out of your calf.
They're just notorious for bad things happening.
Chances are taken if you're sloppy and if you're not prepared.
I remember thinking sometimes, like, we're never gonna make it. It's so far. Oh my gosh, this is crazy.
We carry the EPIR, we carry the handheld radio.
If you're gonna go on a trip with Mike, you better be able to save yourself.
You know, we have spare paddles, we have spare pumps.
He purposely doesn't bring things.
Sometimes he'll go off and he doesn't necessarily check his equipment.
We would never have an escort boat, and you know, we didn't even have a cooler.
And so fish would sit at the bottom of the boat. But you know, when you paddle for like 8 hours, you're so hungry.
I would never risk my kids or anybody in an unsafe situation.
I've almost died on Mike Spalding trips.
And then I hear one day that they almost kill Eddie Vedder and his girlfriend.
They mutinied on me.
My dad decided that it would be a good idea to paddle at night.
And within about 45 minutes, his steering blade breaks.
Now, nobody knows we're out there. There's no GPS, there's no EPIR, and you know, next stop is Australia.
That was one of the heaviest 12 hours of paddling in my life.
We go out and just do the most radical stuff and come back and everybody's smiling. And
Psychological training or damage, either one.
Lauren, growing up with her dad being as crazy as he is, you know, those kind of things gave her mileage and ocean knowledge and toughness.
So many of the barriers that we deal with in life are just a matter of our perspective and what we view as too much.
I didn't really realize how much he prepared me until I think I was training for the Olympics. This is the Olympic team trials for the K4. And that's Kathy, Carrie, me, and Marie. I felt like a passion for paddling, and I was like, gosh, I want to try to go for it to the highest level that I possibly can. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. I just was like, I'm going to just go for it. It was 2003. It was the year before the Olympics.
OC1 is not an Olympic category, and so she got into flat water kayaking.
so she paddled for 6 months. She trained as hard as she could for 6 months, and so she went up for the Olympic trials. Now, the Olympic trials is the best women, and they've been paddling together for 6 years.
Just kind of rolled up at these trials where everyone looked at her and was just like, who is this girl?
She's like, you know, out of towner, you know, she's just gonna wasting her time over here.
These girls were like, oh, you've only been paddling for 6 months? Oh, that's like, well, what are you going to do when you don't make the team? I was like, no, that's not in my game plan, you know.
And it's hard, and it's hard, and it's hard, it's hard.
And she went on to make the Olympic team, and she would, you know, she'd fly back and forth to the training camp.
And Ha'ena was about my son. He was probably like 4 or 5 at that point. I don't think anyone had kids, and I was like, hey, I got a 4-year-old at home. It got to the point where I was going to training camps where I would almost be like crying in the line, like leaving Ha'ena and leaving Hawaii. You have bumps and you have struggles, and you're gonna have to, like, and everyone is, you're gonna have to deal with it. And 18, 19 is really young to be a parent. I was like, this kid is just gonna be along for the ride, and he totally was.
When someone like Lauren has been able to stay competitive through having children, mortgages, all these things that life throws at you as you grow and you mature, the fact that she's been able to maintain that is phenomenal.
Sometimes if you can just like break down that bump in front of you and like just put 110% effort in getting over that one, it'll open the door. you know, I tell my kids this all the time too. It's no matter what, you're gonna wind up in situations that you're gonna not want to be in, but you're gonna have to face it and deal with it.
It's not like if you're just going on a country drive, you don't need everybody in the car to be, you know, really the one where it's Eleo, where you're really sharp. But on the canoe, because it's so critical, you got to have somebody, if they're bailing, they got to bail with their whole heart. To get a sore shoulder, you just keep bailing. Doesn't matter. It's like, that's your job.
Yeah, I think you can apply it to all aspects of your life, but really trusting and believing in your team. And it's amazing, that kind of mentality, when you get everybody working together and trusting and believing, the boat does run so much better. And know that it's all gonna work out.
Yeah, he said he's born with a deformed scrotum, so he used that part of his ball sack to fix his shark bite, you know? I can't believe I believe that.